Hello, my name is Samantha Williams. I'm a graduate student at North Carolina State University in the Learning Design and Technology Master's Program. This presentation has been created for the ECI 512 course on Emerging Technologies for Teaching and Learning. This is an online training and professional development intended for educators interested in adding a gamification technology tool called Quizalize into their classroom. So why should educators use gamified learning in their classroom? Why games? Gamification is an educational approach that includes a video game design and/or elements into the learning environment to maximize enjoyment, motivation, and engagement of students. Research shows that learners driven by intrinsic motivation have better learning outcomes, higher grades, and participate more frequently. Teachers also incorporate gamified learning as a way to make potential connections between informal experiences outside of the classroom and the formal classroom curriculum, thus making a greater connection with their students. Using gamified tools in the classroom can not only reinforce content knowledge through visual learning, but also transfer important skills such as problem solving, collaboration, and communication. There are many game-based educational applications and tools out there, but none that I have seen have all the tools and customizability that Quizalize includes. Quizalize includes many perks like a kid-friendly interface. Quizalize is colorful and fun and gives students a break from the mundane educational day. Quizalize includes a database for pre-made quizzes that are searchable by topic or even state standard. You can also create your own quizzes question by question and include your own images, equations, videos, audio, PDFs, or anything else you can imagine. There are a number of state standards that you can connect your customized quizzes to, and you can also use tags to connect specific questions to standards for data collecting. Quizalize also gives the option to differentiate instruction by individual student levels based on their progress throughout the quizzes. This platform can be accessed in class, out of class, in group competitions, or even solo assessments. Quizalize can also be accessed by any device with a browser. That can include iPhones, Androids, tablets, computers, Chromebooks, anything that your educational area might provide for you, your school, or what a student already owns. The platform tracks assessment data through a gradebook and tracks individual student progress across related quizzes and state standards. And lastly, Quizalize is free for students and teachers, for the base package at least. It includes 3 classes with 30 students each and has a limited data for quiz data collection. So you'd have to get it in your actual gradebook quickly before adding more quizzes in the platform. But you can also upgrade to the premium package of only $6 per month, and that includes easy transfer into the LMS of your choice, and also unlimited storage for quizzes, classes, and additional students. So, things you'll get in this training. You'll learn how to get Quizalize for your class, how to create a Quizalize assessments, how students join your Quizalize class, and how students take the assessments, and lastly, how to track the student data using the Quizalize platform. So, when you want to go to Quizalize, the first step would be to go to the website. Let me show you. You would see the student login and teacher login at the top of Quizalize, and you would click Teacher Login. Now when you go to click Teacher Login, you're given the prompt to add your name your school, or you can log in with Google. You have to be affiliated with the school, or you can actually add in your school to be the first one to start the affiliation. So I actually already completed this, so I will show you mine. So this is my Quizalize section. Okay, I have my name up here. I have one class that I've added. So it's very sleek and fun entrance into the platform. You can click on up here. I have a free account right now. You have account settings that you can look at to show. I just selected my last school, but you can change your email, your password, and even your language. The languages offered are only a few right now. You've got the option for Spanish at the bottom there. Okay. You also can edit your classes here, where these are random names that I've added to my class. So you can go in and delete someone or rename them, or you can even move to another class. Since I only have one class created, I can't move them to another class. But you could, just in case that happens, where students accidentally added to the wrong class period. Okay. So I'll go into period 1. And here you can see that I have 2 assignments already placed in that we'll look at later. First thing I wanted to show you was how to assign a new activity. Okay, so this is your dashboard where you'd click Assign New Activity. You also have your activity list, which is for right now these 2 activities. You've got a grade book and a mastery section that we're going to look at in a little bit. Okay, so when you want to assign a new activity, you are given the option to search. Okay, you've got a number of resources that are already popping out. These are popular ones you can see here by our little man down there saying popular. A lot of these are quizzes, but as you'll see soon, that's not the only option. So you can search by any topic. If you're a math teacher and you wanted to search by addition, you could search, and seems unlimited. There's 47 pages of addition. I'm a science teacher, so I'll just select weather. And you've got a bunch of different quizzes. Notice quiz at the top that you can do. You can choose, say this is a popular one. It's got 26 questions, says weather terms. You can just preview it by clicking See Questions to double check that this is something you're interested in. You can go through all these questions. Looks like this one has questions on thermosphere, ionosphere, so the different layers of the atmosphere. Got some conduction, radiation, but maybe you haven't gone over barometers yet, so this question wouldn't work for you. So what you can do is you can edit a copy of this quiz. So you don't have to be reinventing the wheel here. You can take a quiz somebody else created and edit it to make sure it meets the needs of your students and your standards for your state or your school. Okay, so you could edit a copy. We'll click that so I can show you. Now you have a short, let me move it so you can see, a short preview of the question, the answer, I'll show you that, and then you have the option to edit, move them up or down. Okay, and then on the side here, you have the option to copy this question again if you wanted this question to be copied and maybe just slightly edited it in a different question. Or of course you can delete the question. So I could go down and find the one that taught barometer, and I could go ahead and delete that question for my students. Okay, you can go into each question and you can edit. We'll click edit here. On the side to the left here, you can change the duration of the question. So if you only want to give them 5 seconds, if it's a super timed quiz, you can give them limited time, or you can give 120. You do have to give a time limit though. So they have 30 seconds as the median there, so I'll just choose that. If you're going to be a math question, you can math mode, which is just better aligned for equations that you can integrate into it by copy and paste. You can click use images, so you can upload your own images or find the hyperlink for an image online. You can also upload audio, so another way for differentiating in your classroom and reaching all learners. So if you have a learner that needs an audio maybe for each question, this would be a good way to incorporate that. Or if you have questions that have some sound that needed to be added for the assessment, so you can add those in. You can edit the question, so this person who created this first didn't capitalize the first letter, so I'll go ahead and do that. Move it over so you can see. Now for right here, the correct answer, you'll see that it has multiple, which is a little code for, you see how there's no incorrect answers that have been placed in. So what this code means is that the incorrect answers are taken from the other questions. So you see down here the other questions, they all have this multiple colon slash slash. This means that these answers are all going to be options for these 3 incorrect answers. Now that doesn't truly always work for me, since these answers may not be similar, and so it could be an obvious answer to the students. So I like to add in my own incorrect answers here because I think that's going to be better for choosing the correct answer, so it's not so obvious. Okay, and then you've got this option here for an answer explanation. This will pop up when the students are given their results. So you can see I already gave this. This is just my filling in the text box. So this will pop up when they get their results, so that if they got it wrong, they can see the teacher's feedback to why. So if you had some thing in class that will remind them of it or something, you can add that in there, or just in your own words, the answer explanation. And then you can also put some subtopics here. So this could be subtopic atmosphere, and that will be useful later in your grade book for your own classes. So you can search by subtopic in the future. Okay, so each question you would go through and make sure it's up to the specification that you would like. And at the bottom, you can save to my resources. So this is, maybe you don't want to give this to a class yet, but you're preparing for next week. You're preparing for next unit. And so you can save to my resources this exact quiz, so you can have it later. You can also at the top add in an image for this quiz. So that's always a fun thing to add to personalize it, customize. And of course you can make the title different, customize that. So if you didn't like that the person who first created this quiz called it weather terms, you can go in and change that. Okay, so then you could go to the bottom and say, I'm going to save and give to class. And it'll pop up with this, you have not tagged any learning standards. Now this is great. I wanted this to happen because this is the best way to do this actually. So you want to tag this quiz. So you'd click that and you'd go through and select your curriculum. So you can see we've got UK, Singapore, Philippines, Wales, but then we also have some US states. So we've got Texas, there's North Carolina, Florida, Georgia. We've got a bunch in here already. So of course I'll go up to North Carolina standards. I'll select science. And it goes from first grade all the way to high school. So that's grade 7. And if you can't find your standard, you can also add a custom one. Okay. So the nice thing about that is now that this entire quiz is attached to this standard, then I can go in and it's going to let me choose the standard for each question. So I can go in and find the standard that relates to all these atmosphere. Okay, so these are the different layers. So then it automatically will ask me, is this question this standard too? And it is, so I'll say yes. And you can go through each one and you can say no, and you can select the standard. And that's nice for your gradebook and your mastery check that are also included in this platform. So you can select that. Now I'm not going to go through all 26 questions. I've already done that for us. So I'm going to save and give to class. Okay, so when you save and give this to class, you have 3 options. You can play this in class, where you are given the option for students to complete it on their own, or they can actually do it in a competition setting with 2 teams in your classroom. Each student is going to be answering individually, but they contribute to the group's points, overall points. And so you'd have Section A and Section B playing against each other just for points. There's no time limit on the groups. They can each individually finish on their own time on their own computer, but they contribute their points to the group's points. You can also assign as homework, and you can give when is it available and when is it ending. You can assign as an exam even, which is just more of a summative evaluation. So the options here, scheduling for later, mastery mode, where they cannot end the quiz until all are correct. I don't like to do that because I like them to see their score, how they would do in the end. You can turn off or on music and sounds. You can turn off or on the timer that you selected earlier. And then the number of attempts. So I like to give potentially an unlimited amount, because this Quizalize will actually grade the first attempt, and that will be their grade for the quiz. But they'll allow them to take it unlimited times to improve, and that'll be in my data that they improved. But it may not change their score. And then number of questions. So this is something I like to do. So this quiz has all the way to 26 questions, but maybe I only want to give them 10 because I think 26 is maybe too much for homework. And you can randomize your question order so that not everyone's getting the same 10. You can make sure that they can see their results after the quiz. You can, this is where you'd show that answer explanation that you gave earlier when creating the quiz, showing the correct answer, and then you can give them an option to actually use their screencasting on their computer to show their work. So pretty neat. And then of course you can add in a comment to say, because it won't let you choose an end time, you can give like and please complete this activity by 2 p.m. or be sweet and say thanks guys, or anything you want to do to make this more customized for your students. So pretty neat. And if you assign as an exam, a lot of these options aren't available because it's more of an exam setting. So no music, sounds, those aren't an option for the exam setting. It's a little bit different, but they can still show their work and you can still do a comment in there. Okay, so I'm so far in now that I need to just assign it, even though we're not actually going to be looking at that one. Okay, so once you assign it, this is the best part, you can differentiate based on their scores. So if a student scores less than 50% on any of the assignments you give them, you can give them a follow-up activity. I think this is amazing. This is the differentiated instruction right here. So you can choose an activity. Notice that these low scores are designated in red. You can choose an activity, And you can upload a PDF, so maybe you have something, a printable that you already own that will help them in their retention of this. You can add a web link. So if you have your class website or a specific website you want them to go to check out, to go through it, or another assignment they have to do online, it could be a number of things. You could do a Google form that they have to complete, it can be anything. Or you can add a YouTube video. So if you've got a flipped classroom and you do your own educational videos for your class, this would be a great chance to have them repeat that YouTube video. Also, you can have the YouTube go to a TED Ed video or a crash course video of the topic that you're assessing. Okay? And then they also have resources down here that you can go through. So you can have them do an easier quiz maybe. It's up to you. You can also, it's pretty neat, look up so if they were struggling with atmosphere, you can say atmosphere video and see if they already have one in here. And what do you know? They have YouTube, the atmosphere. You can view that to make sure it's appropriate. You can play it to make sure it's appropriate for your class. You can choose it if you think it is. And so now people that score less than 50% on their quiz will have to watch this video, and you get the data on whether or not they watched the video, and then they have to do the same quiz again. Now you can uncheck that if you don't want them to, but you can have them do the exact same quiz that they scored less than 50% on, do that again. So pretty neat, some differentiated instruction. And you can do the same if they score between 50 to 80%, or if they score more than 80%, they can do a different activity as well. So you can have them do a more difficult, more challenging activity, or have them, if they score more than 80%, you can have a game, or they can watch a fun video, or a video that introduces them into the next section of your class. So a lot of options here. I'm not going to go through and select those. I'm just going to say I'm done. I only want the differentiated for those learners that scored less than 50. Okay, so here's my class code. Again, it's the same one that was at the bottom. You can see a little bit sneak peek right there. It's the same one. It's just Quizalize reminding you that you need to give your code to your students. So we're going to copy that, and it says it's ready for player one, or ready for period one to play. Okay, and then so this is what comes up when they start playing. It'll talk about who needs help. It automatically groups them into strong, almost there, and needs help groups, and what they need help with. It'll tell you what subjects and what questions they struggle with, and it'll also go through the differentiated tasks to tell you which students actually did that. Some results table, your subtopics that you put, and then you can also download the results into an Excel format. This is only for the premium account that you have to pay for, but this is really the only section that you have to pay for with a premium, other than more classes and more students. Alright, so now I'm going to show you the student view. So I'll go over to this other section. We'll go back, and we're going to log in with the student. So students will type their code here. I already had it copied. And they will either choose a new name, or they can choose if they've already been into the class. So they can choose who they are. Okay? So we're going to create a new student. So we're going to choose Ben W. Okay? We'll create his name. Create his account. Now again, you can add students from the teacher perspective as well. I showed you that, where you can edit your students from your period one. Okay, so it shows that I have 3 assignments for Ben. Okay, so he has to do each of these. So we're going to go through and actually do this atmosphere one. So you can see the quiz view. And I'll go ahead and answer some correct and some incorrect to let you know. But at the bottom here, you have the language options. So Ben can choose from English and Spanish and potentially Arabic and Chinese, maybe. Okay, so he's going to start. All right, so he's got some questions here. I'm going to choose some correct, some incorrect. It shows that it's correct, and it shows his score and his time it took him to answer. So his score is based on his time as well as the correctness. Okay? So at the top it shows the question out of 10, his score so far. So choose that. Okay, like I said, I'm just going to go through and choose some answers so we can get through this. Ooh, got that right. All right, let's get one right. Okay, so at the end, Ben's got 1 star only out of 3 and got his score. Okay, it says, well done, what would you want to do now? You can either play it again or check your results. Let's check his results. So, it says well done, but he only got 6 out of 10, 60%. And then it says practice to get these 800 extra points. So it gives him the option of practicing, and it shows him his questions he got wrong first. And it shows him that this was the hardest for him. It took him 0.7 seconds to finish. Now, that was very, very quick since I was running through it, but he could see maybe that he struggled with it depending on the time it took him to take it. So it's really got student data for the students as well. So it has the ones he did wrong, and then it has the opportunity to go. It says you have unlimited tries your teacher gave you, so you can play again. And then it shows him his good points, so you can see the contrast between the questions he got wrong and the questions he got right. Okay, and if he's okay with his results, he can finish it, and he can always come back later to do it again. So he can do try number 2. Okay, so he's got a couple more here to complete, but he's good for now since it's really me. So I'm going to show you now what it looks like for back on the teacher view. The teacher view, based on what it looks like when I review and analyze results. So we're going to analyze the atmosphere results. So 3 students have taken it, Ian, Ben, and Josh. And this says who needs help. 2 are nearly there and 1 is strong. So we can go in and say Josh B is doing great. He got 1 incorrect. He needs practice with 1 question, or he's got 2 incorrect. And so you can view a results table to show of all the students which questions they worked on. Okay, got tip. You can choose the specific students then. Okay, so he's got some questions he needs to work on. It gives you clear data there based on the students. Okay, and then this what they need help with. It gives the hardest question from the quiz, and you can see who 3 of us need help with this question. Okay, so that would mean that that was a question you definitely need to go through. The differentiation, this would be where you had those tasks for those students that made under 50% or between the 50 and 80%. You could go through that. Okay. Improvements, you can see if a student improved. All right. I can't remember if I did this. Okay. That was their first try. I also, we go back to a different one, I believe. I have some improvements here. Here we go. So I have improvements for this quiz where it shows the first period improved 16.6% overall. And so from their first try, an average of 76%, their second try was 93%. And so you can see how well each student improved. Plus 20%, plus 20%, plus 10%. So if you give them those unlimited tries, they can really benefit from them. Okay, and once again, this expert you have to have the premium account for. All right, at the top, we can also go to the grade book. And this is where you can see all the quizzes. Now I've assigned a few since I was going through this, and you can get their score from their first quiz and then the average of everything they've done. So since Ben has only done one quiz, he has a 60%. Okay, it doesn't automatically put zeros in. So if you need to do that for your own grade book, you'd have to do that. Okay, and then you also have mastery. So this is where you go in for your specific standards. So I chose North Carolina standards, science, grade 7, and then specifically 7.E.1 on Earth system structures and processes. And so this quiz I chose for this specific standard, and so I can go through each standard, and then you can sort by the weakest, strongest, or alphabetically. So they always put weakest first so that you can see who you need to help. Since this is really specified for differentiated learning and really helping those students. So you can have all your quizzes lined up by standard. You can also search from here, say quiz. So if you're ready for the next standard, you can go, and these ones are automatically aligned. That doesn't mean that you can't make your own or find your own from before and then align it as well. These are just already aligned. Another person has gone in and aligned it to the standard. So you could be that person as well. All right, and so to go back to your normal board, you could just go to your activity list, and this shows, again, for period 1, if you had more periods, you'd have them here, your activities here. The last thing I wanted to note was at the bottom right of the page, you actually have this little conversation marker, and this is for if you need help. So if you need a question, if you need to start a new conversation to figure out how to use this platform, you can get help. So that's always nice to have the capability of accessing someone, especially as a teacher. Sometimes you need help right away because technology is not going the way you want it to go. So all in all, I think that Quizalize is a great resource for gamifying your classroom and really truly motivating and engaging students to get involved in your class. So thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your feedback.